Hey, it's me, Saul, and today we're doing a tier list that I've put together for the best XYZ monsters in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links. Now, a couple of disclaimers before we get started. There is no, there might be an objective best, it's Malevolent Sin, but other than that, there is no objective ranking of the XYZ monsters in the game. It's largely subjective, and the metrics that I'll be judging these cards by will be my own, right? So if you want to make your own tier list, feel free to go and make it, but this will all be based on personal opinion for me, whether or not I like the card, if I enjoy playing it, if I have good memories with the card, right? Like, there is no reason to be upset about where any of these cards are placed. With that being said, let's get started. Now, first up is Abyss Dweller, and this is an interesting one. I put it in B, but it's not going to stay there. This card to me is interesting because I thought it was overrated when it first came out, because I was just like, oh, so like you can't activate effects in the graveyard for a turn. That doesn't, in my mind, it didn't click how good that actually was. That being said, there aren't very many decks that I use where I make it frequently, right? So it's a card that I see the value of. And also, do you know that card art is a dragon in the back? That in and of itself, I didn't know what that was for the longest time until I actually sat down and looked at this card for a good long time. I want to put this in A because of its power, right? Because just turning off effects is really good, but its body isn't that strong. It's only got 1700 attack points, so you can just like swing over it. It's not that difficult to do. I don't, because this is an S or A rank to me. This is an S or A rank to me. How do I feel about this? Within Water XYZs, I would say that this is an S rank card because not only does it get that 2200 body, but it also gets those quick play detaches that can pop cards on the field. Everywhere else, I want to put it in A rank. It's got a good effect, but it's not a must add in every single deck that I build, right? Like for instance, if I put Malevolent Sin in S, let's just skip because with Malevolent Sin in S, right? I don't feel like they're on the same level. I feel like they're very, very close, but like I'm surprised that Malevolent Sin isn't the UR in that box. Like Malevolent Sin can and it basically is everywhere. It's the most popular XYZ card in the game, and I have zero qualms putting it in S. And the only reason, if Malevolent Sin, if there was an S plus rank, Malevolent Sin would be an S plus and Abyss Dweller could be an A because it's just one small tier below it, right? So that's that. Up next is Photon Strike Bouncer, and honestly, I think everything in that box is either an S or an A rank. Like, it's just so strong, right? You just bring out this massive, like, it's the 2700 is the appeal to me. Oh, and that card art is, it's clean as hell. Nah. See, here's the thing, the effect is great. You negate one effect per turn. It can be any effect. You get to choose when to do it. That's really cool. Now, it's got a decent body at 2700 attack, so it's not gonna get swung over that easy, and you can stall out games just on Bouncer alone. I know that currently it's kind of falling in popularity with Onomats having like the new hotness and everything, but with that, even with that being said, and then you take into account how clean this card looks, nah, this goes in, does it go in S? Does it go in S though? It doesn't feel earned. Am I biased? I feel like I'm biased because I like the card so much. I play a lot of decks that can cater to rank 6 XYZ summoning. I feel like you look better in A, my guy. It feels bad. It really does. Next up is Deltaros, and Deltaros is gonna be my first B tier, right? Deltaros to me, I'm a Tellarknight player, right? I'm a Tellarknight player. It's one of my top 5 favorite decks. And until we got extra support, Deltaros was barely viable as a boss monster, right? Because Deltaros has a decent effect. It's got a 2500 body, and it can pop a card on the field and everything. Oh yeah, that's cool. But it takes 3 materials to make it. So until Tellarknights got faster at making it using, what's the name of the card? Batalamus, right? Until they got that support, 3 cards are just a massive investment. That being said, the floating potential of this card is insane. You destroy this card, it floats endlessly. No matter how many times it gets destroyed in a given turn, it will always float into another monster. The problem with that is it only floats if it's destroyed and not just removed from the field in a different way. So I feel like B is a good place to put it. Diamond Dire was one of my first staple, I feel like, XYZ monsters, right? Diamond Dire, where you just pop it and then you pop another card on the field. It's just nice removal to have for certain decks that didn't have it. That being said, the cost to pop yourself, nah, because it's easier to make than Deltaros, but at much bigger of a cost because you have to pop yourself and basically lose 2 materials Yeah, no, that's a lot. Considering that what you're left with is an empty field after you're done, that's a big investment of resources. I feel like that should go in C. Digital Bug Rhinocebus. Now, this card would not have made the list had I made it like a week earlier, but we recently got support in one of the latest boxes, Darkness Gimmick, which makes it so that basically any deck that can rank 6 XYZ summon can make this card just by ranking up on top of a rank 6 insect monster, right? So this is a great card. It was just a great card that no one could use, because what you can do is it's got decent attack, you know, I'm pretty sure it's in the 2700 range, quick play effect, detach a material, and without targeting, destroy your opponent's card, whichever one has the highest defense. And if they have multiple monsters with the same defense, if it's tied, you get to destroy all of them, right? So that's really, like, you can clear a field of blue eyes with this one effect, and I think that that's spectacular, right? I think it's very, very good. The problem with it was the difficulty in making it, but now that that's gotten so much easier, I'm putting that in A rank. Now, I may be a little bit biased, but I'm putting Excalibur in S. I don't. You can fight me. This is my tier list. Back away. So here's the thing about Excalibur. I'm an Automat player as well. I also play Automats. And also Tellarknights is like I already mentioned, so I play a lot of warrior decks that can make this. And bro, the time of Excalibur plus Hey True Nade for a clean OTK, it was a disgusting time to be alive, and I loved it, right? That just, in a 4,000 life point meta, not having to worry about Battle in Box or Veil when it was everywhere, the security that it brought me in my heart of hearts, because this card, we've been through some wild times, and on top of that, it has one of the freshest designs. Nah, you go in S. Gaga Samurai, you're next. Moving on. Gaga Samurai, I'll be honest, is mostly here out of courtesy, because there's other cards in the game that do what it does better. Attacking twice with a 1900 body isn't insane. That being said, there are certain archetypes like a Megalith and everything who can use that effect really, really well, but I don't know. The benefit that it has is that any deck can make it, whereas with stuff like Excalibur and other support that we've gotten, you have to have a specific type of monster, so it does have that benefit. But swinging with 1900 two times is, I mean, let's say you use 2 monsters with 1800 attack to make this monster, you're swinging with 100 more attack twice, but also you now only have 1 body on the field, so you get dealt with by a Karma Cut a lot easier. It's here as a courtesy. I'm not a fan unless I'm using an archetype that can capitalize on it significantly. D. Gaia Dragon is also here as a courtesy, but not as courteous of a courtesy. Does that make sense? Because it actually does have a very viable effect. Let me tell you a little bit more about myself. I was also a Noble Knight player, right? So the thing about Gaia Dragon is you can just rank up on top of an existing monster so seamlessly. It helps you deal with things like Fiendish Chain. If you get stuck, if you run out of materials, you can turn something that's useless into something useful again. And I just like the idea of ranking up XYZ. Like, I want them to give us more cards that can rank up on top of XYZ monsters, because it makes it less linear. There are more paths, the more options that you have in a game like this, the more versatile, the more skill goes into your gameplay and everything. So I feel like the concept of rank up XYZ summoning is really what earns it a spot on this list. And also the fact that, like, you can throw it into any deck that ranks 6 XYZ summons, or I think it's rank 5 or rank 6 XYZ summons, and it can be useful for you. Heraldry Patriarch, not here as a courtesy. It's earned its time in the sun, right? It's currently, I don't know if I would call this a staple or a tech card. This isn't a staple tier list. This is just what I think some of the best XYZ cards in the game are, right? And because of Harpies, this card really got its chance to shine, and then people realized it wasn't just good against Harpies, it was good against anything that has the name effect. So it could be good against Cyber Dragons, it could be good against Blue Eyes, but it's mainly used for Harpies, right? Now, the ability to lock out your opponent's entire deck if they're using cards with the same name cannot be understated. And also it has 2200 attack, which is a decent body. Its card art is kind of goofy, but it's a very easy card to obtain. It's a rare card in a mini box, so I feel like it's balanced, right? I feel like B is a place to put it. It's just leveled. It's not like, you gotta get this card, but it's also like, you should not get this card. So I think it goes in B. This is where things get dicey again. M7, it's either an A or an S. Do I like the way you look in S? No, I don't. You're an A, but you're not a low A is the thing. I put M7 alongside Bouncer in most of the things that I do. Obviously, Onomats, we use this, but also Heretics. I love using this card in Heretics. It's just just bouncing a card back to the hand. I feel like when all of these alternative paths to removal got added, and it was just so fun. You know, I don't have to destroy you. I can send you back to the hand. I can banish you. I can this, I can that. And this was part of that. This was part of that process. It gives you a lot of options in terms of how you like to play. And also, if you're using Constellars, I don't know why you would be using Constellars, but if you are, then you can rank this up on top of an existing Constellar XYZ monster, which is really, really cool. So I quite like it. I don't think I like it enough for S, right? It's not as splashable as Malevolent Sin, but I think A is a good place for it. Number, I don't know what number it is. Shark Boy. Now, this card is not here as a courtesy. I actually kind of like it, mainly, well, not that I like it, I recognize its power because of Evil Eyes, right? When this card had that when Evil Eyes had that skill that allowed them to, you know, double the damage that you took, and then they attack you directly with this, it was crazy. And then just the potential that this has to attack directly is also really good. Plus, it's a free card. The fact that it's free is actually what earns it a spot on this list, because like, it's just a really easy card to get, and it's one of the only decent rank 3 X, well, actually no, we've gotten more because we have windups and mains and other stuff, some of which is on this list, but like, yeah, it's actually a decent rank 3 XYZ monster, and I quite like it. It's not mind-blowing to me or anything, which is why it's in C, but yeah, I like it here. Continuing the trend of I like it here, Constella Omega. You detach one material from this card, it's unaffected by spells and traps, and the reason I felt the need to explain what it does is because not many people actually use it. I think it's limited to light monsters, which doesn't really help its case or anything, but you know, let's say I like it because of its bait potential in decks that can actually make it, because what most people will do is they'll wait for you to XYZ summon before they disrupt you with their back row. So you can summon 2 monsters, they wait for you to XYZ summon, and they think you're making something else, but you make this, they try and hit you with back row, and you chain your effect to it because it's a quick play effect. So as a quick play effect, you're unaffected by their back row, and then you can make a play off of that. So simply because I've had a lot of situations where I baited out some card effects like that and just had some fun gameplay interactions, it made the list. Does it belong in C or D though? It's not on the level of Diamond Dyer. No. It's not on that level. It's fun, and I enjoy it. Is it higher than Gaga Samurai? I think it is. I think that's where I would put it personally. Auroboros. Now, you may have this card might give you nightmares because of where it once was. I feel like it belongs next to Deltaros because they were used side by side in the Stick and Chair combo. Ever since that combo went away, this card doesn't really come about, and that's because of its ridiculous cards that take 3 monsters to summon in this game, just inherently based on that have to be god level to be relevant, right? The only reason this card was getting shine was because Stick and Chair could make it so easily. Now that they don't really do that, yeah, like it's a cool effect and everything. It's got a really good effect, but like, because it's just so unviable to make, and I'm pretty sure it's a selection box exclusive, isn't it? Am I wrong about that? It might be, right? So I don't like it. I don't like it very much. And also because of what the B rank is starting to look like, I'm gonna move Heraldry Patriarch down by 1, and I'm gonna put it over here. And I think does that make me happy? I'll stop. Hold on. Happiness, is that you? Yes, it is. Okay, fine. This is what, oh wait, is it? Yes. This is what I want it to look like. This is the tier list. We're moving on. Paladynamo is S rank. Okay, so Steel Swarm Roach. If you asked me this like, I would say a month ago, I would tell you Steel Swarm Roach is B tier. Now I think it's high A. Now I think Steel Swarm Roach is high A potential, bro, because like, I love synchro summoning way more than I love, wait, no, hold on, I hate synchro summoning. I love XYZ summoning way more than synchro summoning, and because this just directly counters everything that I don't stand for, like, just slap this thing on the board. And so I don't know why we have so many synchro decks running around during the XYZ era, but because we do, this card has been a godsend to me in so many situations where I just summon this card and watch as my opponent's whole strategy falls apart, right? They try and Book of Moon me Lance, and they just no synchros. Now, I'm not a fan of floodgating my opponents, but I hate math, and so I hate synchro summoning enough that I'm willing to overlook that and just not let you do things. And also, it's not a proper floodgate because like I can do it twice, right? If you can get through those 2 times, then it's fair. So I feel like it's a very balanced effect, and it's also one that speaks to my soul. So A. Sun God Heliopolis, I think that's your name. right? I feel like you should go in B because Heliopolis, I think, got a lot of hype. There was a lot of gas surrounding it when it first came out, and it only really had shine in Blue Eyes, right? And I mean, it got some good shine, non-targeted destruction where you don't know what they're about to do. You can't see it coming, and then boom, they slap you in the face. But see, here's the thing about that. Not very many decks rank 8 XYZ summon. Automats can do it in a very specific situation using Gaga Head and Sister, but like, there's just better things to make. It's got that being said, it's got an excellent effect. If a deck can rank 8 XYZ summon, it should have this in its back pocket, which is why it definitely makes a list, but I put it in the B range because you don't see it all that often. Swordbreaker is so damn slept on. It's so damn, because if your opponent doesn't have an answer for Swordbreaker, what do they do? Like, what do you do? Because the thing about Swordbreaker is you declare one attribute you declare one type, if I'm not mistaken, and then any card that battles it that's that type, non-targeted destruction right before damage calculation, right? So it just clears boards. It was great against Lunalights, it was great against Blue Eyes. It was just a great side deck option in my opinion. It's only at B because with that great effect, it has no protection, right? So it can, if you Karma Cut it or remove it from the field in a different way, it's gone, which is why I'm only putting it in B. And also because it's a rank 6, not as many decks could make it. But this is my tier list. I like the card, right? I like it. Also, it has some pretty saucy card art too. Not the sauciest that we've seen, but I very much like it where it is. This is a very aesthetically pleasing tier list so far. I'm happy. Thunderspark Dragon is here as an honorable mention. This card deserves so much better. I was so mad. I was so freaking mad when they introduced Lightning Vortex, because Lightning Vortex is this card in spell card form, and this card takes 3 materials to summon. So in situations where like I really strategized and planned, because like it will wipe your opponent's entire field, non-targeted, but like you have to detach all of your materials to do it, so it can only do it once. It's got a decent attack body, so like I would strategize and plan to really out my opponent and like, okay, how do I get myself in a position? I need non-targeted destruction. Let me just throw this in there. And then they introduce Lightning Vortex, and now you can just slap it on the table and then you're good to go. The disrespect, the disrespect inherent in that decision. Oh, my boy deserves so much, and he's got such cool card art too. But I can't in good conscience put him higher than D. Tiger King. Now, did anyone watch? I didn't watch Tiger King anyway. This card had a lot of gas around it when it was first, like, when we realized, oh wow, we're getting a card that can negate all the monster effects on the field. That sounds so wild. That sounds kind of busted, and no one has used it because like it's a beast warrior, so it's limited to beast warriors, and like you can throw it in maybe Yosenju's Bujins, like you'll put it in the extra deck, but how often you'll make it, I don't know, because you're not in that many situations where you need to negate the effects of your opponent's monsters, you know, in this kind of way. Like, even there's a spell card that came out, I think is it Dark Ruler no more? It's something, and it does the exact same thing as this, and no one uses it, and that's easier to use than this, so there's no way that this would see any shine. It's got a cool card effect and everything, but Fire Fists aren't relevant, so you get a mention because like there's a premise there, right? There's the beginning of a story, but the rest of it remains to be told. If we enter a meta where its effect becomes relevant, I see it coming out of the woodwork, but for now, I'm gonna have to pass on you, Chief. Utopia Ray. I did not understand what this card did when it came out. If you ask me when this card first came out where I would put it, it would be in D tier. Now that I actually understand what it does, I actually didn't know. I completely misunderstood the effect, and even once I did understand it, it seemed so impractical. Like I thought it was a once per turn, right? So I thought it was a situation whereby it comes to your turn, you've lost all those life points, and you get to boost your attack by a little bit and reduce your opponent's attack by 1,000 and try and make do from there. Like, no, it's not a once per turn. So by the time this card hits the field, you can use its effect 3 times because it'll have 3 materials, and you detach all 3 of them, use it 3 times in one turn, boost your attack up to 4,000, your opponent has 0 attack. You have a non-direct attack route to lethal, and I love that so freaking much. A lot of people think it's cheese, right? People will be like, oh, Utopia cheese, but like I feel like, at least in some decks, at least in the ways that I personally have used it, it gives you, it's those anime moments where you're on the back foot, like the last strategy, the last course of action, maybe even trying to plan so you can be in a position where it could even work, but you have to take some damage and you don't know if it'll even work, because what if your opponent disrupts it, or what if your opponent has like an extra attack, like what if they swallows nest and attack you again, so you miscalculated how much damage. Like it makes me feel hype, right? It makes me feel hype. So I personally love the card. I love this card. We're moving on. Wind Up Zenmani. Zenmains. This boy, right? I quite like his effect. He's a rank 3, which not many people do, right? But it's a case of you can't destroy me, right? You can't destroy me, and if you try, I'll destroy you. I like that. It's like that holding a gun while sitting down on like it's that situation. Like, remember in Spider-Man Far From Home when Nick Fury, like he walks into his room and Nick Fury's just sitting there with like a gun pointed at him? Am I thinking of the right movie? I might be thinking of the wrong movie. Anyway, I think it's just a really, really cool effect that I think is kind of underrated. Like, obviously we have other types of removal, and that's why these types of effects that like are destruction related aren't that crazy, but like I personally quite like it. And last up is Zombie Stein, right? Last up is Zombie Stein, and you might be surprised that I chose to include it on this list. Now, when I first read this card, I thought it was garbage. I didn't even read the card when I first saw it because I thought it looked stupid. After further consideration, it doesn't look so stupid. So just off of what it looks like, that's where it would go. Now let's talk about its actual effect. Right now, I personally think that Zombie Stein was both overhyped and underhyped at the exact same time. Being a 4,500 attack point beater that you can just whip out is absolutely insane, right? Because that's a power of Blue Eye's Neo Ultimate Dragon, if I'm not mistaken, with not even close to the amount of work that it would take to get it out, right? So as a beat stick, it's great. I love that, but it's got a negation effect. It can negate any face-up card on the field, not just monsters. It can negate spells and traps as well, as long as they're face-up on the field. The problem with it is the fact that it goes into defense position when it does it, and you have to discard a card, so you're going to lose Zombie Stein because it only has 1,000 defense. You have to discard a card. It took you 2 cards to make this card, so you might lose 4 cards off of its effect, and it doesn't destroy what it negates, so I don't think it's worth it. But as a beat stick, and also because of the sauce on its fit, I quite like it. I've been using this to grind gems because it's great for auto farming. Like, the computer will almost always make it, and it just beats over everything, and that's what this card is for. So yeah, that's my tier list of the XYZ monsters in the game, the best ones. If a card that you like didn't make it onto the list, it's because I don't like it, right? So let me know down below what I didn't include. Let me know down below what you would change. I'll probably leave a link to the tier list down below. And if you check the description of this video, I'm gonna put a poll down there, and so you can actually vote to see how much, whether or not you agreed with my choices here. I think that would be just like a fun way of you guys letting me know just how off I was or how on point you thought the video was. Have a great day. I hope you've been entertained and informed. We're very close. We're very, very close to 1,000 subscribers. So if you haven't yet, please join the family. We're happy to have you, and goodbye.